it's love. But, love is the only thing that matters in this life.
I'm going to be honest with you. It was overwhelming, Kalon.
Well, that's a lot coming from you.
Why do you have to talk about my people? If you thought about how little people think, you'd realize they're not thinking about you, right? But if you...
That's beautiful.
Right.
No, you nailed it.
No, well, thank you.
No worries.
But, he's doing the complimenting thing. But...
Got me.
I think that the reason that men have much more of a dominant presence in the realm of Stoicism is largely based upon the idea of killing the ego immediately, right? So men, inherently, we walk around with more ego than women do for the most part. And I'm not saying there's not outliers ever, but what I am saying is most of us are walking around with an ego. And when you're capable of killing that ego, then you're capable of surrendering. When you're capable of surrendering, you become more adaptive. When you become more adaptive, you find more success. And that is absolutely a big reason as to, again, why I wanted you on the podcast. And I'm not here to inflate your ego, but you don't have one. You've just been one of the most positive influences in my life. And I've sought your counsel multiple times before, with different situations in my life. And I just walk away with this shit. Yep. Okay. I get it now. And, in the few years that you've met me, the shifts that I've made as well.
Yeah.
Right.
Huge.
And a lot of them I attribute to you. You've been a fantastic influence in my life and I appreciate you. And I wanted to bring that to this podcast. So I've been excited about this interview for a long time because you were there when we were talking about building the studio. You were there when we started building the studio. And I was like, can't wait to get you on. Can't wait to get you on. And you were able to make the time. And considering the fact of why we started this podcast, I was kind of discussing this with Brandon the other day. It's not about the money. If it were about the money, I could make goofy fart videos when people are doing yoga and I get millions of views and tons of subscribers because it's mind rot. But that's not what we're here to create. We're here to create content that's going to help men and women, for the most part, pull themselves out of a slump or pull themselves out of whatever cycle they're cycling in. And
just produce something that's positive, could potentially positively impact other people's lives.
Right. A personal development content creator. I cringe when I hear content creator. I cringe when I hear influencer. But in the same right, it depends on the content you're creating and the influence that you're giving. And so I wanted you on the podcast so that you could come in and help men, especially, to understand a different way of being that perhaps they're not finding in regular content that they're consuming.
Yeah, heart opening, right? That's what that's what I feel when I watch you two, is it's you're opening your heart. It's when I say grace, but really when you are showing love to yourself and love to others, people want to be around that.
Yeah.
I don't think they actually recognize that it's love, but love is the only thing that matters in this life, and whether people understand it or not, but when they see, people that are, they say if you're in really good shape, when you enter the room, there's a respect that people give you right out of the gate. Why? Because it's not because you've got big muscles. I mean, that may be the surface level, but the reality is they recognize hey, this person loves himself enough to get themselves into this type of shape. That's what's impressive. Right. Not on the surface level of I've got big muscles that I lift and I'll cut, Yes, some people will see that too, right? But that is very surfacey.
Yeah.
What they're recognizing, what you connect with, Eddie, and what you connect with, Brandon, is people loving themselves, and you want to be around people that feel that way.
Absolutely.
And that is where the real power of life is, right? Yeah. It's such a beautiful, like the retreats everyone comes in going, oh, you could see it on their face. Like, oh shit, I committed to a whole weekend. I got to go sit through a whole weekend of opening my heart. And that's scary to a lot of people. Like, I got 72 hours of, maybe I'll hide behind my painting, or, like, I'm just going to turn it into like these little things that I'm going to be doing. No, like within the first 30 minutes, you're like, okay, I'm on a journey now. I'm opening my heart. And at the end of the weekend, some people go back to like, oh, I did that. There's my weekend.
Right.
Hey, look, I just experienced love for a weekend. Now I can go back to what I normally do.
Right.
And it's like, I just want you to do this all the time.
Yeah.
Because when you're giving that to yourself, you're giving that to others, and everybody feels that.
Right. And I think that we don't pay enough attention as people. We don't pay enough attention to what we're giving back to the world. And, when I read the 4 Agreements, I started really having a lot more metacognition of like the way that I'm behaving and what it's putting out there. And that was when I kind of came up with like I'm having a crummy day, I'm in a bad mood, so I'm going to go out and I'm going to be nice to people and just pay people compliments. And I was literally at a Walmart and some dude went walking by and he had a lot of cologne on, right? And I'm going to be honest with you, it was overwhelming cologne.
Well, that's a lot coming from you.
Why do you have to talk about my people? However,
that's great.
And as he went walking by, I was like, man, you smell fantastic. And he didn't, right? But I just it was something that I saw that this guy clearly cared about, right? And he was there with his girlfriend and the dude just lit up. And so he's like, oh, dude, thank you. I wear such and such and here's where I get it. And I was like, that's fantastic. How much does that cost? And it didn't matter to me at all. I was very much married to the cologne that I wear. However, in talking to that guy and watching him light up, I was like, oh my gosh, like I just realized my superpower. My superpower is wherever I go, I have the power to shift the room. Wherever I go, if I'm in a great mood, more than likely a lot of people are going to be in a great mood. If I'm in a bad mood, more than likely a lot of people are going to be in a bad mood. And to understand that you have that kind of power over your experience in life is fascinating.
Yeah, you bring up a great point is, I started recognizing that how we are all connected in this group energy.
Yeah.
And, I get all of, I have, we do connecting with the creator sessions in our theater. And it's like, we're just sitting in a meditative state for hours, right?
Right.
And then everybody shares after. And it's like this one person shares about what they went through. And then this person's like, oh my God, I had that same thing, or I saw, or, that's, oh, my dead grandmother had this, like, and like hearing people connecting with each other, and all we did was sit in silence. Right. And it's that same thing with PSI where that you have that, that the group collective energy, and recognizing that we were all in that energy. So, what energy am I bringing to this group?
Yeah.
Like to this experience, and we just recognizing that, Eddie, is so beautiful, because that will put you into that right space. I mean, even though it wasn't totally authentic, like, hey, bud, I think you smell great.
Right.
What it did is it triggered something for you to get to that space where it was authentic.
Yeah.
There was authenticity after that moment. You created a space to connect with somebody.
Right.
And then you felt that energy, and holy shit, you turned just a bullshit thing that you threw out there into something that you connected on. That is excellent. Well, great.
And with that, like, we all sit around so concerned about how people are receiving us and perceiving us, right? And we place so much emphasis on that. And Fredo Zen says pretty often, if you thought about how little people think, you'd realize they're not thinking about you, right? But if you...
That's beautiful.
Right. But if you take that and then you couple it with the idea that everybody also wants to be accepted for the most part, that if you run into me happenstance at the grocery store and I'm just glaring at you, you're going to be like, the shit's this guy's problem, you know? But if I go like, what's up, man? How are you? And I'm just super polite to you. A lot of people, myself included, before I started doing the work, would have had possibly a knee-jerk reaction of like, what's he trying to scam me out of? What's he trying to sell me?
Right.
But
right.
just being polite and opening with a compliment to somebody will massively shift a conversation.
Yes.
And, you know, all the time people ask me, how are you doing? I go, best day of my life. Why? Because it sets the tone for an upbeat conversation, right? Or if, you know, there's something, if I'm talking to customer service, I'll talk to them and just be like, where's your accent from? Oh, I'm from Georgia. And I'm like, I absolutely love the Georgian accent. I think it's one of the most beautiful Southern accents that there is. And, you know, I've been stationed in the South, but I love the Georgian accent. And they'll, oh, well, thank you. That was my horrible impression of a Georgian accent.
No, you nailed it.
No, well, thank you.
No worries.
But, he's doing the complimenting thing. But
Got me.
how meta. But to that, if you're leading with love, like you said, then it just shifts the dynamic and the conversation and the outcomes drastically. So if you're looking for positive results, if you're looking for positive outcomes in your life, perhaps be that positive outcome for somebody else, because especially customer service or at a store or anything like that, they're expecting more than likely that you're going to end up being an asshole. And so they're preparing for a fight with you if you have a complaint to file. And if instead you're just like, hey, how's it going? First of all, thank you for taking the time to talk to me today. By the way, love your pants. Those are amazing. Or whatever, right? It's going to shift that instantly to where they're not defensive. They're not preparing for the fight. And they're much more likely to give you an outcome that is beneficial to what you're looking to gain with it. And so I just, you know, I love your way of being. I've always respected you as a man, as a human, as an entrepreneur, as all of the things that you are. And, you know, after being an entrepreneur myself with the body armor company, then going to work for that 3-letter agency that we're not going to name, and leaving there, I was just like, I'm never going to work for somebody else again. I cannot do it. I hate people with their egos and how they treat people that work underneath them. However, you needed to get caught up with some work, and I had some experience in project management, and I had just gotten done with that previous job. And I was like, yeah, dude, I'll work with you for a little bit. Yeah. And I was only planning on coming on for a couple of weeks. I ended up working for you for months.
Yeah.
And I loved it.
That was great.
I've never had a boss that I enjoyed working for so much more. And like your entrepreneurship, am I okay to say the name of your company?
Yeah, yeah, sure.
So you are the founder and owner of Custom Systems Integration, and you do amazing home automations in, for the most part, like new builds, but you do them all over. And it was hilarious to me because I've worked in a couple different realms of construction work, whether it be, you know, roofing, or I've done drywall, I've done this, I've done that in construction and as a project manager. And you came on the scene one day and you were kind of walking the job and you're talking to the guys, and you just walk up and you're like, hey bud, how are you? And I'm like, I'm good, brother. How are you? And you're like, oh, you know, da da da. And we kind of talk over the job a little bit, and you're like, all right, man, I love you, bud. And gave me a hug. And I'm like, am I going to get made fun of for this? Like, my boss just said he loved me and hugged me on a construction site. But that's just how you are. You just exude love to all of these people. And your wife as well, very much in that same vein of just loving, kind-hearted, amazing people. And, you know, your wife had been there for me on a lot of my personal development journey as well, early stages of it. And some of my best memories are like joking with her on the phone because she challenged me to do something, which became this whole story that we don't need to get into. But she was in tears laughing while I'm working through this whole situation. And she's actually the person who taught me the concepts of there is no good nor bad. There's just a result. And when you view things through that lens, then you can become less emotionally attached to an outcome. And instead you can become analytical. And it was just a massive shift in the entirety of my life. And then I did that retreat with you guys. And I want to get back to that a little bit. So you guys have one coming up. I think you said August 21st through the 26th. Is that correct?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay. And then November 6th through November 8th. And
That
people,
sounds right.
okay, can go.
Stacy handles all that stuff.
Fair enough. But if they're looking for it, if the dates are off or what have you, they can go to stacymarie.love.
Yeah.
To find information about the retreats. But I mean, and I don't know if you guys are offering the same experience that you did when I went, but there was like breath work and a cacao ceremony and artwork and soul prayers and meditations and kirtan. And like, it was a whole weekend experience that was fantastic. And I want people to check that out as well. Yeah. I'm sure you've probably heard people talking about peptides. It piqued your interest, you looked into it, but you don't know what source to trust. A lot of this stuff is coming out of China. If you're looking for a good quality peptide that's made in the United States, go to helixpure.com.